The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
There is nobody that holds a candle to the king.
You know, I wouldn't be opposed to, maybe you build some tag teams here.
We are the absolute best tag team of all time, bar none, the greatest tag team of all time.
Jay White's going to be a star, no matter where he goes.
I'm going to be the guy that spits in the face of cliches. I'm going to be the guy that tells time to off.
Man, what in the world is Joe doing? Just standing. And then I thought to myself, maybe he just likes Jericho's music as much as I do.
Dean Ambrose, Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. You saw what I could do unprepared. Just imagine what I can do when I am at 100% in gear, ready to go. There's a reason why I've made this relevant, why I've made this prestigious. It's because I do what I have to when I have to do it, and it is no joke.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leeser.
Welcome, everybody, to Wrestling to the Max, episode 254, part 2. And we are brought to you by W2Mnet.com, as well as 411mania.com. Hey, and don't forget to go subscribe, rate, and review at Wrestling to the Max, wherever podcasts are found for you. Also, go check out the W2M Network. Hey, it's a place where you go find everything over there at the W2Mnet.com family. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe to both. It just gives you an opportunity to kind of get all the things together, one place, one spot. You don't have to worry about going and searching out every time you want to find out, when the next episode is, or maybe when our review shows are. Maybe you're looking for NXT and you're like, man, I have to go find it. It's just easier to go ahead and subscribe, so go ahead and do that. Of course, once again, let you guys know we have a YouTube channel out there. Go ahead and subscribe to that as well. That gives you an opportunity to go find our content easy when you get on YouTube. And it'll also send you an email, too, when our episodes are out there. So that's another plus. I, of course, your host, Gary Vaughn. Along with me is Mr. Sean Garmer.
What's up, everybody?
And Mr. Paul Leeser.
Heyo.
And guys, we got a pretty awesome show in store. I'm really looking forward to this one. Lots of great content to talk about. I don't think we're going 2 hours tonight, though. I want to apologize to everyone if you're expecting us to go 2 hours. It's not going to happen. That Monday show, or Tuesday show, whatever you want to call it, was a special thing. Of course, that had to do with the G1. A lot of great content there. So we're going to be a little bit shorter than 2 hours, but that's okay because the content we have is going to be a full-fledged show. It's going to be so much fun to talk about. We're going to be talking Great Balls of Fire. That's why we are going to predict and run down that card, and I will be hopefully, keeping a straight face thinking about that song the entire time we talk. Also, we're going to be getting into some stuff like Lucha Underground, Impact Wrestling, all that great stuff, especially Impact following, that big Slammiversary show this past weekend. Plus, we'll also be getting you some great news topics this week and quick hits. So that we got all that in store, plus crowning a superstar of the week. So trust me, a lot of great content in store. Well, guys, this is going to be a fun show, but I just have to say, Paul is going to be actually heading over to Great Balls of Fire in Dallas, Texas, and he'll be going to that show. Are you really getting ready, Paul? This is, it's always fun to go to pay-per-views, but you got a main event I know you're going to be looking forward to, plus some other things that'll be in store. So are you just enjoying the idea that this will be fun?
When I bought tickets originally, I had really low expectations. I'm not a huge fan of what's happening on Raw and all these other things, and then suddenly they start turning around, and I'm excited for about half the card now, so already getting my money's worth for sure before I've even gotten there, just from Raw turning it around.
That's awesome. And plus, you'll be hanging out with some great friends and stuff like that. That always makes it so much better, right? When you're hanging out with your friends and you're actually there in the arena and you get to take it all in, it's just so much more fun, to see everybody's reaction. I know I went with a buddy of mine, Lance, to go see a show in Dallas, and we were sitting there and we were just goofing off talking about, the fact that who could we see that week. And I think it was that when they do the Bring All the Legends Back show. I forget what that was called. But anyway. They
Retro Raw?
Yeah, it was like retro, old school Raw.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. Yeah.
And so we were sitting there, and all of a sudden you hear Stone Cold's music, and that's just like one of those like, oh my God, you never get to hear that anymore, and we're sitting here live. So it's one of those cool things. That's what's so much fun about going to these events. And the surprises, but not only that, hanging out with good friends, right, and just enjoying yourself and just having fun. So. Sean, I mean, man, there's a lot of stuff going on. What's going on with you this week?
Just here, doing the usual stuff, Did
you do Independence Day? We never talked about that. Did you do anything special for Independence Day?
Yeah, we went to go see fireworks, not too far from here. And then I subsequently went to sleep, and that's why we don't have a SmackDown or 205 Live review for this week. I apologize. We've been fiddling around with moving shows around so that, the reason why Paul and Gary do Raw and NXT is because we do the football show now in that same slot. So at least you don't have to worry about me falling asleep when we have the regular episodes anymore. So that's good. So.
Yeah.
Tuesday was my fault because I watched it all live, and I should have said immediately when it was over, Gary, I'm done. Let me know when you're done so that we don't go to sleep.
Yeah, it's no big deal. It happens, and hey, all that really matters to me is that you had a great time with your family 4th of July, and as much as we want to get content out there, I totally get it, man, and it's great to hear that you had a fun 4th. I mean, my 4th was fun. It was really 2 days. I spent 2 days doing different things and getting to go see fireworks and eating all the carny food at the park. It was a lot of fun doing that.
Carny food is the best.
Oh, I know.
For that day. Then the next day you're like, oh my God, why did I eat all that?
Yeah. What's also funny is you sit there and you eat all that food and you're ready for the fireworks, and then you realize the spot that you usually sit, they decided to change the setup and they shoot them close where you're at, but you're a little too close or you're a little too far away. This year we were a little bit... we were in an okay area, but we were right by the concert stage. Our ears were bleeding as we're trying to watch the fireworks, and then the wind is blowing in our face as the smoke from the fireworks is blowing in our face. So, I don't know, man. I felt like I was at a concert, just no sweet smells coming out of that smoke. So,
you don't want to hear, like, God Bless the USA and bleeding your ears out?
I don't mind that. It's just that it was just a little bit too much, I think. And we had invited some people, some friends of ours, and they were like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm sorry. Every time you invite someone to a restaurant or somewhere and you tell them it's the best thing ever, that's when they screw up. That's kind of like that went.
And then they're like, oh my God, what were you talking about? This is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, it's not like this normally. I don't know what happened today.
I don't know. There are a few things more American I could think of than having your ears bleed to America the Beautiful while you inhale smoke from fireworks. So
yeah.
I think you did it right.
That's true. That's true.
Hot dog in one hand and...
Say, there you go. You guys are bringing out the positives. I appreciate that. So that's good. So anyway, well, I mean, we've got a lot of cool stuff that happened this past week. I know, Paul, did you enjoy the 4th? I didn't ask you.
Yeah. I went over to Buddy's house. We cooked out. We lit fireworks in the backyard. We got the cops called on us. It was a great day. Great day.
No handcuffs, huh? No, you didn't get pulled
just
away,
warnings.
Huh? Oh, okay.
There were people down the street doing worse things than we were doing, for sure. Like they were lighting
Did they go grab
shells.
them too?
Wow.
No.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Wow. Artillery shells. That's pretty terrifying. So, But yeah, I mean, hey, at least everybody had a great 4th. I hope everybody listening had a great 4th. I mean, I know this is a little bit past the 4th, but we didn't really talk about it on our Tuesday show. It just was not a part of what we were doing that night. And of course, everybody still had the 4th to go. So we hope everyone enjoyed themselves. And yeah, so there you go. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into this great Balls of Fire card. And so we will be right back after you hear this.
Can't get any more American than having to watch Roman Reigns.
Oh, yeah.
Wrestle someone. So.
Well, maybe John Cena, but yes, I'm right there with you. But we have to hear this beautiful piece of music that Paul's going to hear all night Sunday night before we talk.
Oh boy!
So let's hit that.
Bring it on.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drives a man insane. You broke my will, but what a thrill! Getting this get wreckage, just quitting Balls of Fire. I let the love all I thought it was funny.
Oh, God.
Oh, I can't wait till Paul's humming it on the recap show on Sunday night.
Can we play some Chuck Berry or something? Jeez.
Oh, God. No, that's American right there, Chuck Berry. Favorite song by him? My Ding-a-Ling. Yeah, if you haven't heard it, go check the song out. It does have a little double entendre here and there, so be careful in front of
No, Gary, we couldn't tell that one at all.
Millhouse also does a very loving tribute on The Simpsons to that song as well.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. So, but enough about Chuck Berry. Let's actually talk about this card.
Or ding-a-lings for them.
Yeah, or ding-a-lings. Never get enough dinglings around here, Sean. But anyway.
God, what are you trying to say? Woo!
Well, Gary After Dark will eventually happen. We'll talk more.
One of these, I swear, one of these times, you're just going to pop up with your WTM network and there's going to be a Gary After Dark in there. They're going to talk about all the things that Gary passively mentions in here.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's hopefully talk about things that are not about that. Let's talk about the opening match to Great Balls of Fire, which will actually not open the pay-per-view itself, but it will actually open in front of the live crowd, and of course will be on the pre-show for the network. Neville will be taking on Akira Tozawa for the Cruiserweight title. And of course, you know that Titus Worldwide will be right outside Akira's, corner, so that may.
What is wrong with these people? How dare you put that match on the pre-show?
Ugh.
I mean, you see the line of thinking though. Like they put something I think a lot of people are expecting to be good. Like the live crowd might show up earlier. That's the only thing I can think of.
I hope, but half the time it takes forever to get inside the arena for the doors and everything else. I just hate that for them. As much as, we didn't get to talk about this, but there's, the rumor of Titus O'Neil becoming the general manager or commissioner of 205 Live. Like, what a statement for Titus Worldwide, right? We get the pre-show.
Yeah. Wow. But this guy's moving up in the world. Well, we were talking about Titus O'Neil being nothing. He goes from being suspended and then all of a sudden to kind of being there to all of a sudden having his own brand to being Titus Worldwide to signing Wale. I mean, Wale, whatever you want to call him. I mean, and
you had it right the first time.
This guy's moving up in the world. Is it Wale?
Yes.
I couldn't remember. I knew some copyright issues with the movie Ali. So anyway, there's a certain excitement about this match that I have in my opinion that is going to be missed out on the main card. But I get the point that they hopefully draw people to watch that pre-match, and it's because we saw Neville and Austin Aries have a match at WrestleMania this past year. And now, once again, Neville's kind of gearing up to do another pre-show match, and hopefully people watch it. Hopefully we'll get excited. I think this is going to be a great match. I think they're going to put on a heck of a show. If you ask me, though, I don't know if I'm ready. I even really think that they're going to put the title on Akira Tozawa. I'm going to say no on this one. I don't know about you, Paul.
I'm right there with you, Gary. I don't think they pull the trigger for this yet. I feel like Titus at ringside might sway this the wrong way for Akira as it has so many times for Apollo. So I have Neville coming out of this. Long may he reign.
Yeah, well, you'd want to hope that it's because they want to give Akira Tozawa this great crowning achievement on SummerSlam, but I have a feeling they might just do the title change on a 205 Live or whatever, just to pop a rating at this point. But no, they just started this. I'm sure there's more to come if Titus is going to be more involved on 205 and everything. I just I don't think he should lose it yet.
Yeah, it's one of those where Akira Tozawa should be a 205 champion or cruiserweight champion. I like to call it 205 champion, to be honest with you. But I think that cruiserweight title will be around Akira's waist eventually. I don't think it's this soon, and I think there's a lot of people out there who kind of feel the same way. But we'll see. I mean, they could surprise us, and if they do, it'll definitely a thing to point at the pre-show. Well, let's move into the main card though, and let's talk a big match on this card, and it is, of course, for the Raw Tag Team titles. Cesaro and Sheamus will be taking on the Hardy Boys in an Iron Man match. It'll be a 30-minute one, and this one I think will be a lot of fun. I think that these tag teams really have proven that they can get in the ring multiple times together and still give you something you want to see. I'm really looking forward to it. Sean, what do you think is going to happen here?
Hold on, what match we're done with? I'm sorry.
Oh, the tag titles.
Yes. Actually, I'm sitting here also because we have to do the round table. I'm also saving the pictures to my computer so I can just put them into the website, and that happens to be the one I'm on right now. So this is going to be a test for the Hardys, because if this is not no DQ magically, which it could happen. They love to do these at the pay-per-view where they make things as stipulations. If this is a straight-up wrestling match for 30 minutes, that's a big test for the Hardys, Mm-hmm. Can they, we know Cesaro can definitely hang in there for 30 minutes. We even know Sheamus can do it. Jeff, he could probably do it and still come out on the better end. But, Matt Hardy with those bad knees and everything, can he really be in there for 30 minutes straight? Is this going to be a tornado tag thing? Are they going to be tagging in and out? Lots to wonder about how they're going to do this eventually, but you would think that this is right up Cesaro and Sheamus' alley at, straight up wrestling. They should be keeping the titles here then.
The only reason I disagree with that is just because so many of the other teams that Cesaro and Sheamus could physically challenge either just split up or is still just the Hardy Boys, because there's not a lot of face teams over on Raw. I wager they do a switch back here with the Hardys winning it back. I have the same worries that you do, Sean, that 30 minutes is really going to, put some strain on the Hardys and maybe affect the match. But once again, like I think me and Gary talked about on Raw, I don't think they know where their bodies are at. I don't think they would have agreed to do this unless they thought they could pull it off. So I'm hoping for a lot of great stuff. And I think the Hardys going to win those titles back.
Yeah, very interesting. And, I look at this as a match that will have, lots of great moments. And, of course, both these tag teams will put a lot of effort in, which will pretty much, I think, by the end of it, have them gassed. But at the end of the day, I look at what's going to happen here. And for me, I think that Cesaro and Sheamus can find a way to retain. I think the Hardys are a great tag team, and I think, it'd be awesome to have them have the belts again. But, I think that they've got to have something else. I think right now it would be better for them to chase than really hold them again, because as many, other tag teams could come after the Hardys, I think it's going to be something special for the Cesaro and Sheamus to have a little bit longer run compared to just the Hardys having them. So I think I'm going to go in that mind frame. I'm going to switch over to the Intercontinental title with The Miz will be taking on Dean Ambrose. And we can't forget also that The Miz is going to have, of course, Maurice in his corner along with Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. So there's a lot of stuff in play here for Dean Ambrose when it comes to this match. But can he find a way to get the Intercontinental title, Paul?
I doubt it. As much as I love Dean, this feud has really just sort of rested on its laurels, and other than the addition of the Miztourage, we haven't really seen a whole bunch move forward here, and they have that absolutely horrific ball segment working against them too. I don't see any reason to move the belt off the Miz. Dean can go on and do whatever after this, hopefully, and Miz can hold on to that title for much while longer.
Yeah, they've done what they could to hold this feud together coming over from SmackDown. And I give them credit for that because it could have been much worse. But yeah, Miz just needs to move on from Ambrose and do something else. And I hope Miz keeps it because the IC title, like he says, and he's not lying, it matters more when he has it.
It really does, doesn't it? It seems to feel so much better with the Miz holding that IC title. Ambrose may need it more because right now, and I talked about this on Raw, I think that this guy just doesn't have that other dimension. He's kind of been labeled as this goofy, silly guy that's supposed to be crazy, and it's more goofy than it is crazy, and that's not great for him. That title kind of made him a little bit more whole. And so without it, I don't know, but I still don't think that The Miz is going to drop it. I think The Miz just makes that title shine just as much as it shines him back. So I got to stay with Miz. Miz is going to keep it for me. Well, let's talk about Enzo and Cass, Sean. This will be a match that I think, a lot of us kind of feel the same way of how it should turn out and probably will turn out. But do you have anything that you would consider maybe being a surprise?
Well, there's always the possibility that WWE sits there and says, we don't want this to go one pay-per-view. They do have Brooklyn coming up. Imagine the crowd for Enzo if they have a match at that show. Now, they could always have Cass just absolutely demolish Enzo, but Enzo's such a fiery guy that he doesn't let that keep him down, and they still have the match anyway. And it's like no DQ or something. They could also do Cass is so overconfident and just wants to beat Enzo up so bad that Enzo rolls him up and gets some 3 out of nowhere. That could also happen. But I think that really kind of hurts Cass. But, we've seen them do this before where they don't, if Vince is stuck on something, he doesn't care if it hurts somebody. He's going to do it because that's what he wants to do. But if you're looking at this the right way, Cass needs to go in there, beat the crap out of Enzo. Enzo gets nothing. And really, he should just move on to the next thing. Or, Enzo puts Big Show in there, and it's Cass with Big Show. But, there's always a possibility that Enzo gets some fluke win. Wouldn't have passed him. But I'm going to say Cass wins here.
I think Cass wins too, but the way I think this match goes down is that Cass keeps beating on Enzo, and every time he goes to put him away, Enzo just keeps kicking out and keeps kicking out and keeps kicking out until finally until Cass finally has to go so far to really just keep him down, and that's it. It could go to a DQ that way, where Cass just gets so frustrated that he just starts beating the crap out of Enzo using all sorts of stuff. And that might be a decent way to go here, too. But I feel like they want Cass to win. I feel like they want him to look really strong. And at the same time, I think having Enzo continually kick out of stuff will keep making people believe that he has a chance going forward. So, Big Cass wins, but I think Enzo will play off of that whole heart promo thing he cut on this last episode of Raw.
Yeah, and you guys are pretty much spot on, and this is one of those where I think a majority of folks would say, yeah, Big Kaz, no question, right? I mean, the size comparison, it's just it's hard to say that Enzo could win this match. I'm going to go Kaz too, but I will, by playing devil's advocate, I could say maybe Enzo wins, and maybe it wins in a fashion that's maybe a little underhanded. Finds a way to sneak in something to maybe knock Kaz unconscious. That way, that later in the storyline, Kaz is so pissed that he lost to Enzo that he wants to keep this thing going and move it on. But I don't know that that's going to happen. That may be kind of stretching it a bit. But I do have in the back of my mind that maybe Enzo finds some little way to win to keep this thing going very strong, because Kaz would be a very angry camper if it was, basically a fall to Enzo. So who knows? Let's talk about a match on this card that I think I don't know if anybody really cares about, but also a match that I think it's kind of like when you get a test question and you're like, oh, that's a ABC question. It's very easy. 1, 2, 3. I can guess it just without even thinking. And that's, of course, this Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins match, right? I mean, I think it's a kind of a given for me. I think Seth Rollins wins because guess what? Bray Wyatt doesn't win. Ever. So that's the way I'm going, Paul.
I also have that same way. Seth Rollins wins. Does anybody care? Like, this has been the most boring part of Raw consecutively since they started this. There's no heat. There's no action. It's just a whole bunch of talking. And when it looks like there's about to be some action, either somebody runs away or anything like that. Like, it's a really flat feud with flat characters. Like, who cares? Rollins wins.
Yep, who cares? I sure don't care. Bray Wyatt just talks a whole bunch of hot air, and I don't know how you can really even pay attention to what he says anymore. It's just, look, when Bray Wyatt talks, I'm just like, it's like when, somebody says something to you and you don't want to listen to them, and all you hear is, blah, 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 blah. Oh, what? What? Oh, yeah, okay. Seth started talking again. Oh, wait, now he's going to talk about this. Yeah. Please just, hopefully the match is good so I'm not falling asleep during this.
I wouldn't blame you if you did fall asleep.
Just don't show a video segment for this, please, because then the whole arena will fall asleep. It's that boring.
That would be pretty terrible, man. Just to think. What if they just had a talk off, right? I mean, they just sit there and just talk and talk and talk. And,
oh, my God,
yeah.
Gary.
Whoever can entertain the crowd first wins the match. And it's like that episode of SpongeBob, 5 hours later. Oh, anyway.
Oh, they're still at it? Jeez.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about something that hopefully is entertaining, and that, of course, is the Raw Women's Championship. And that, of course, is held by Alexa Bliss, who will be taking on Sasha Banks. And this is one that I think all of us are kind of curious to see how it's going to shake out, Sean. I mean, because there's a couple of ways they could go, but, I mean, how do you feel about it?
I could definitely see a title change happen here, because as much as they keep teasing this thing with Nia and Alexa, and Nia being the next challenger and whatever, it doesn't matter how big of a size difference there is. I don't know that you can really, unless they just don't care, do Nia versus Alexa. You could, I think it makes much more sense if you do Sasha versus Nia. It's not going to be one-on-one at SummerSlam. We know this. It's going to be some fatal 4-way or 6-way or 8-way or whatever, because that's what they do with these big shows a lot of times. But still, I think from that perspective, just so they can play that off on Raw and everything, the title change kind of makes sense here. Yeah, you could still have Nia help Alexa somehow get the win too, but I don't know. I just kind of smell something different happening.
I have Sasha winning this too, just because I think her winning freshens up the division a little bit more. And as much as I love Alexa as champion, I think there's only so much you can do with all the faces you have on there, and they've done that, right? And if Bayley maybe had flown better, maybe we'd still be getting Sasha and Bayley one-on-one at SummerSlam, and maybe that could still happen. I don't know. But it does look like Nia's in line for a shot. Maybe Alexa uses a rematch, you get a triple threat or something like that, really stack the odds. But I think Sasha walks away with this championship for sure.
You know, and it's tough to say this because, I mean, you guys have just pointed out some great reasons, and it's hard for me not to go with Alexa Bliss on this one. But I think you guys are right for everything you guys said, and I think also Sasha Banks holding the title in the future will give us some matchups that I think we can kind of sink our teeth into more at the moment. And of course, you know, having Alexa Bliss kind of trying to get her belt back from Sasha, I think is even more entertaining than it would be for, you know, Alexa just to hold it. And so I think for entertainment reasons, it needs to be Sasha Banks. And I think Alexa Bliss does fine if she holds it, you know, past Sunday. Well, I think it'll still work out, but maybe not as great as it would if Sasha held it. So I'll go Sasha. Let's talk about another match that I think is one that should be kind of really a lot of fun. It'll be a match that I think it'll be pretty darn violent, and that is, of course, the ambulance match between Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. And, I mean, I'm really looking forward to a great match here. I'm hoping it's as violent as it can be. Paul, I know you're going to be there live. What do you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one, too. These guys have great matches against each other. They work very, very well together, and I think they'll find a way to make the ambulance stipulation entertaining where a lot of other people have failed. And it makes so much sense, too, because an ambulance has been such a big part of the feud and them getting carted off and everything like that. So there's a lot of talk still going around that they're going to do Braun and Brock at SummerSlam. And pretty much whoever wins this, I would assume, is going to be number one contender anyways. It's just so hard to bet against Roman. So I'd like to be pleasantly surprised. I'm going into this Sunday thinking Roman Reigns is going to walk out with his hand held high.
When in doubt, go Roman.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think whether they wind up doing the match at SummerSlam, or they wait on it, or they make it a triple threat, or whatever, you know, I don't know who you have Roman face if somehow Roman wins and, you know, they push Braun into the SummerSlam role anyway. Just this, Braun technically won the last match with these guys. And how much, they didn't have Roman get anything on Braun until this last Raw here, really. So I feel like that means that Roman is going to wind up winning this. That's all I got, really. I feel like I don't know how you can make the case for Braun to win and Roman to lose again. I guess if he looks strong doing it, doesn't matter, but
yeah, I'm right there with you. It's a tough one to kind of sit here and go. Okay, so Braun Strowman is,
but that's
big,
good
bad,
though.
and tough.
That's good that we don't have that this match. It's your like semi-main event, really. That we're not going, Roman wins, whatever. The fact that we're going Roman wins because, you know, we know Roman's history, whatever. But it's good that there's that mystique of, hey, Braun could technically has a legitimate shot at winning this.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it could even be something where maybe Braun Strowman looks great in this match, and Roman Reigns will too. There's no doubt about it. But it wouldn't shock me if it didn't have a situation where maybe Braun Strowman just happened to fall into the ambulance, even if it's through the top or something, and that's the way he loses. Even though he's not beaten up and beaten down, he finds his way into losing this match through that venue compared to being, you know, beaten to a pulp and then put in the ambulance. I kind of see them really making both these guys look strong in this match. If Roman Reigns gets him on a stretcher and puts him inside that ambulance, Roman Reigns is not standing up afterwards. I just don't see that happening. I think he's going to be so weak after a beating. It's got to be that way. Otherwise,
these guys have beat each other up before,
a
lot. So, that Extreme Rules match or whatever that was, where they had the tables flying everywhere and all that stuff. I mean, so they are no strangers to not really walking after having a match with each other.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that. But that's kind of my point. But to everything you guys are saying about Roman, history tells us that Roman's going to win this match. I mean, they could go wrong from their path, whatever I think that they could do right by Braun Strowman by having him win, but that would, maybe not make Roman look so great. So they're not going to want to do that. I think Roman Reigns wins. Let's talk about the big match and the last match we have to talk about, and that is, of course, your main event, your Universal title match with Brock Lesnar walking into Dallas to face off against a guy that I think he'll be having a lot of fun facing against, and that is Samoa Joe. And boy, I cannot wait for this one. I think it's going to be so special, and hopefully it lives up to what it's supposed to be. If you ask me, I think Samoa Joe is going to look great in this match. I just don't know if I'm ready to give him the belt. I want to, but I don't think they will. I think Brock Lesnar is going to hold on to the Universal title, but it's not going to be because Samoa Joe just, took a couple suplexes and is done. I think it's going to be a bigger battle than that from my point of view. What are you thinking, Paul?
I really, really hope they do right by Joe, and I'm with you as much as I'm going to go into this Sunday hoping and praying and committing sacrifices to dark deities and all this stuff to make sure that Samoa Joe has a chance in hell of winning this match. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think how well this storyline's gone has made it to where there's not any part of me that thinks that Joe is going to lose in like a couple minutes or whatever. Like, I think he would have had this storyline just been a total dud and no one cared about Joe. But he's been so good that it's like, man, there's no way you can let Brock just beat him in a couple suplexes and F5 and done. Like, he's just too... He can do so much for you, and he's a guy that's around all the time, not like Brock, that you need him to be strong as possibly as you can. So I think he has to take Brock to the limit here, very much like Roman did, and you got to put him over strong here, or you're doing Joe a disservice. Look, you can obviously tell the story of he's pissed Brock off so much that Brock is just a freaking beast, and he said he did what he said he was going to do and all that, but I'd hate to see that. I don't know how you could justify hurting Joe like that when he's done so much for you to make this feud be as awesome as it is.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't go at least 10 minutes, then there's a real problem here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's too big of a match, and I get it. Brock Lesnar is their guy. They want him to look as big and bad as possible. But Samoa Joe is another guy that, man, he's proven that he is serious, and he's also proven that he can put the work in it and really be that other big and bad, tough guy. So I'm looking for a really fun match. I really am. It's going to be super... probably stiff at moments. I really think that. I think both these guys are going to be out to prove something. So that's what makes it even better to me. I think these guys are going to take a lot of pride in what they're doing in this match, and it's going to be something special. So But yeah, I mean, that wraps up Great Balls of Fire. Of course, we'll be doing a post show, so don't miss that. Once again, if you go subscribe, you can get all our content, and it will just be right there in your dock. Monday morning on your drive, you'll get to hear us talk about Great Balls of Fire, everything that happened, all our opinions, and of course, Paul will have that live perspective, so that's even more special because he'll be able to give you some of the intricacies maybe you didn't get a chance to see on the network. So there you go. But yeah, we are going to move on now from Great Balls of Fire, and we are going to jump into some news topics this week in quick hits. So we'll be right back with some news next.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Go on, Gary.
All righty, let's start talking about something that we've been talking about a lot, but hey, we got some more names for the Mae Young Classic. We got two of them to be exact. We got Rhea Ripley and Sage Beckett added to this whole tournament, and this will be really interesting to see, Paul.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley is from Australia. She's wrestled for Riot City I think most of her career. She's only 20, and she's already been a 2-time champion for them. So I wager she's probably one of those who started wrestling fairly young. And Sage Beckett is Andrea from Shine, Shimmer, all those places. So if you have some familiarity with all that, then that's cool. I think two solid names. Andrea's a solid worker. She's very big, and she's actually lost weight from how big she used to be. So now she's more muscly big instead of just big. So should be really cool. I'm looking forward to it. They just keep adding names I'm interested in seeing.
I'm glad that they keep adding variety of different people, so that so you have different people to go off of in the matches, and diversity, right? Instead of just everybody looks the same, and it's just different versions of hair color and whatever. I like that we keep hearing, we got big size women, you got your normal. Honestly, I've never seen either one of them work, so this is gonna be exciting to kind of get to see them in the tournament itself.
Yeah, definitely. That's what's the most important thing here, right, is to do, and that's to have some diversity, to have different styles, different kind of, contenders to really make this thing special. And they're doing it. And they're proving that they can get this thing together and make this just an exciting, tournament. I mean, overall, I'm just looking forward to it. And the more names they add, I think, that you either heard of, you maybe not heard of, makes it even better. So that's what's going to be so much fun. You're getting to see a lot of new talent that maybe a lot of the other casual fans have not seen before. And, of course, me too. There's a lot of these names that I don't know. And that's what's going to be fun for me, is discovering new talent. So, well, let's move on and talk about a news story that happened. And this is something that maybe a lot of you listening may have something invested in. If you do subscribe to the WB Network, you'll definitely want to hear about this. According to Forbes, Bob Dachenko is a guy that he is part of a security firm called Chromatech, and he actually told Forbes magazine that he had uncovered a huge unprotected WWE database, and this included 3 million users. And he was able to uncover some information on the users, and that, is a big deal because we all know, our credit card information's on there, and that kind of stuff could be leaked. Well, WB has secured the database, and they are currently investigating this. But Sean, that still kind of makes you a little nervous, especially with, all three of us are part of this network, and our credit card information is on that network.
Well, yeah. Obviously, much bigger deal if it was your credit card stuff. I think you'd have people going nuts right about now, because as we saw with the, PlayStation Network crash that happened, or any other time that your stuff is taken, look, all it takes is somebody doing enough damage, and your life can be ruined with one of these things. So thankfully it's not credit card information. let's be honest, all that stuff that's there listed, you can usually get in somebody's Facebook profile, most of it, or you get it, looking at a credit report. So it's not that big a deal. But still, you never want to hear about these things because a lot of times there's more out there than people kind of let on. We don't know if we're being protected, and maybe there was credit card information leaked. So, and they're just trying not to let that out because they don't want mass chaos happening. So, but let's hope that what they're telling us here is the truth.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen the story, it's most of the questions that they ask you when you sign up for the network. So, like, it's your ethnicity, earnings, age range. If you have children, I think they ask for your kids' age ranges. That was on there. I think what's probably the most disturbing about this with that is just how easily you could access this. They said if you knew the web address to the server, you could just access it freely. Like, it's that easy. So at least it wasn't credit card information or anything else super important of the matter like that. But a little disheartening to hear that they just had a server out there with a whole bunch of information on it that they just left completely unprotected. Like, that's not good. But thankfully, it's nothing super important.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's, the best part about it. But it still makes you nervous, right? That people are getting information about you. It may not be, anything super, big, but it still, kind of makes you think about things and the fact that people are kind of looking to see what they can find out about you or maybe even, where your address is, things like that. That's something that kind of unnerves you. So I get it. I get where some people could be a little bit worried. Me personally, I care about my financial stuff, and I don't want people stealing money from me. But it's more important to me that people don't maybe know where I live or can access, some of that personal information about my family. How old my daughter is, things like that. Right? That stuff makes me more nervous, and I think that's something to be.
But you'll be surprised at how many things you get into that you have no idea that they have that information. And they're using that to target ads to you or any other thing, and you just don't know about it. So that's what I'm saying. Like, as much as you're correct, you don't want people knowing that about you just because for whatever reason. You never know. There's that crazy person out there that decides, I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to do something stupid or whatever. It's like with the way that we log into things now, where so many of things that we just give them our Facebook login, they find out so many things about us that's like, as long as they don't have stuff where they can take money from me, I just let that be in the ether because it's like, who knows something about personal information about me at this point. It's just, we're such a digital age. You have no idea who knows what about you, right? You're just hoping that you just never get that person that decides that, let me go just be an asshole and come to your house or whatever.
Yeah. And it sounds silly. It really does sound silly, like someone's really going to take the time to come to your house. And I'm not saying, for the most part, that would be very rare. But, there's such a thing as serial killers. I'm just saying, and they like something, a particular thing, they may come find it, So who knows? I'm just, I'm one of those people, I just don't like that kind of information being thrown out there. Like, it was so weird to me, I went to Taco Bell the other day and was in line and, checked out and paid for the food. And the guy's like, how's your daughter's swim class going? And I'm like, how did you know that? No, but anyway, that would be weird. He's like, oh, by the way, happy birthday. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. So things like that, right? I mean,
yeah.
So weird. So anyway, it's just one of those things. We have to get used to that. It is a digital age. You're right, Sean, and people are going to know. I mean,
that's what's the weirdo thing, right? Is like, okay, know that information, but don't be the weirdo that says, I don't know you at all, but how was your daughter's swim class today? Like, it's just like, just keep that to yourself, man. It's just,
Exactly. And it's really about, the fact that we also give information out on not just on apps and things, but Facebook, which
Right.
Facebook uses all that same stuff and does a lot of that to put things out there. So we're at fault at some of that, honestly. People don't realize, but they really are. They put everything.
Yeah, like sometimes you just hit
even
allow
location.
on an app, and you don't even know what the hell you just allowed it to do.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many apps ask to know where you're at. Like, we need your location. I'm like, why do you need my location? But they do. So, but anyway, once again, a news story. It's very, very interesting. But hopefully WWE kind of has this kind of figured out, and we'll find the source of some of that leak and really get that settled up. Let's talk about something else that we've kind of talked about quite a bit on the show, but we just kind of want to update people. Now, if you kind of listen to some wrestling news, websites, things like that, earlier this week, you were hearing some information that was getting you really excited. You were kind of hoping for some things to take place. But now we are getting news that it may not be as close to happening as possible. And that is, of course, about the Hardys and the broken gimmick and the fact that, earlier this week we had heard that they were closer than, we had ever imagined. And now we're hearing this week it's nowhere close or in sight that broken gimmick will be available to them. Who really knows? I mean, Paul, this could go on forever, or this could just be a, sleight of hand for us to think that things are not going to happen, and then they are.
Yeah, we were literally talking about supposedly they were close on Monday, and now it's Thursday/Friday, and it's not even close. Apparently, they haven't been farther than any time before in the relationship. So maybe we should, Sean was talking about this before we started the show. Maybe we should just stop talking about it, stop getting people's hopes up, stop getting our hopes up, and just, if it happens, great, and if it doesn't, well, then we can all just keep being a little sadder.
Yeah, I wonder if some of this is also just the Hardys. It could go either way, right? But I wonder sometimes if, because we've seen these things happen, and they're such open and shut cases, and are the Hardys just keeping this thing around in the ether, alive on the internet, so that maybe if the judge or someone sees that people care about this and that they want it to be able to exist, that they might change the decision or something? Because it's just this changes every week depending on who you read and who says what, and Rebby says this and Jeff Jarrett says that and Meltzer says that, and this other dude on the street says this, and Matt says, there's times where Matt and Jeff are clearly trying to do some parts of the broken gimmick, and you're going, it's just if it's not gonna happen, just let it go. I know that's hard to say for them that took time to cultivate it and they want it there and everything else, but it's just, I just hate having to go through this every week, and you get excited, and it's just, maybe if you let it just breathe, one day we'll wake up and there'll be some kind of resolution one way or the other.
Yeah, that's true. And, and you guys make some good points here. I want it to happen so badly. But the more my hopes get up, and the more I hear this, up and down and all this other stuff, I'm starting to just want to never hear about it until it actually happens, and we'll see if it does. But I just had to throw it out there because there's a lot of people getting their hopes up. You see online, people, and we kind of touched on it a little bit when we were talking on Raw. Oh man, this could actually happen, and it's too much. Let's just wait until it happens. If that kind of bums you out, let's see if this bums you out or makes you happy. Apparently, Stephen Bonner is going to be, he's training for pro wrestling. What do you guys think about that one, Sean?
I'm not an MMA person. So
there's this big fight from the first season Ultimate Fighter is Stephen Bonner and God, I can't believe I'm forgetting the other guy's name. He's one of my favorite fighters for a long time. Anyways, they had the big fight that Dana White credits as revitalizing UFC and bringing MMA to the forefront and into the wider audience, and the reason why it's still this big thing that it is today. And Stephen Bonner was the one guy on the other side of the fight. He lost, and he's since had a job with UFC ever since. And Stephen Bonner now is just another one of those growing trend of MMA guys who are making the transition to pro wrestling because, well, one, Stephen Bonner's kind of old now, and two, if you can't make it there, like Japan has seen a lot of MMA guys who haven't been able to make it try wrestling. Starting to be a trend over here in America now, and Stephen Bonner still has a big name attached to him if you follow MMA and UFC and all that stuff. So he's been training around his hometown in Indiana. He's done a battle royal, I think, for some local promotion near his house, and that sort of triggered him to start giving this a try full time. If he's any good, he could find himself in a pretty good position because, people still know who this guy is, once again, if you're in the fight world. So this is kind of a big deal if he actually turns out to be decent to good.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think it's really interesting. We're seeing more of this happen. MMA fighters really try to find their way into the world of wrestling. And, I kind of thought to myself watching this week's NXT if Roderick Strong's wife was ever interested in joining at wrestling because, she's one of the 4 horsewomen in MMA, and she's kind of had a hiatus with her MMA career. What she ever decided to do and switch over. It makes sense, but then again, that may not be her passion. But, it does seem to be more of a trend for MMA fighters to hop on over and try professional wrestling if they're not exactly happy with their spot in MMA.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Forrest Griffin was the guy I was trying to think of.
Okay, for sure. So, I know Sean and I both aren't big on MMA. I know a little bit, but not enough to be dangerous, so... but for those that do, I know you guys will definitely understand. I know there's a couple things, Sean, you do know about, and there's some things that have been talked about, and possibly some things in the works. And I'm kind of curious how you guys feel about it. There's been talks about maybe a summer tag classic. That's right, it'd be a tournament that would be kind of like the Dusty Rhodes Classic, and it would be something that would be available. Also, there was some word out there that there could be a possible situation for a women's Royal Rumble. Sean, does any of that excite you?
Well, yeah, the women's Royal Rumble would be cool. I think this year would be perfect for it. Just because you're going to have the women from the tournament around, and then we'll know who got signed, who didn't, and all that stuff. The thing is, you'll have a bigger influx of women. So I don't know how they would do this particularly. You could do it with just the amount of women you have on the main roster, and then you bring in a couple that you kind of feel they don't even have to stay up, obviously, right? You could just say, we're going to have 5 surprise NXT women in here to round it out to 20 or something. I don't think that they have to do a number that they don't think they feasibly have, but I'd like to see it just once. It doesn't have to be, like we talked about with the Money in the Bank, right? And now this could be a thing that they regularly do every year, but they could just do a one-off and have an actual reason for it. Like they come up with a reason for the Money in the Bank, and it doesn't have to be an every time thing. They could decide they want to do it every time after this, but I don't have a problem if they do it as a one-off. They have enough women now, especially once the tournament's over, to justify doing it.
Mm-hmm. If you look at both shows and all the women who are active on the main roster, your count is at 15. So if they want to do 20, like Sean was saying, to round out the number, throw another 5 in from NXT, and you have yourself something to work with. Plus, we still don't know, call-ups could happen for the rest of this year. There's still, we still have 6-7 months, a little less than 6 months
left. Right now they're doing that storyline with Asuka, right, where she's not coming back until they find an opponent for her that's worthy. So, I don't think she stays off that long, but...
Right. Yeah, I mean, she has to come back and lose the championship at some point. So, I'm fine with that, too. I'm fine with the tag team tournament, too. It's something else WWE really needs to focus on and get some more teams in there, too. And if the indie scene finds a whole bunch of people that they want to use and sign, then good on them. Because they could really use the teams for sure.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that wholeheartedly. They have been, honestly, desperate for a while now to get some quality tag teams together and keep a division together that is, solid for more than 3 months. I mean, it seems like they're always in flux on what tag teams are going to keep together, tear apart, things like that. So this would be great, and I think it'd be something that would definitely help them in the long run. And the women's Royal Rumble, I just think it'd be fun. It would just be fun to see. I think the women's Money in the Bank match was cool, and it was exciting to watch. See how they would handle it. So I think the women's Royal Rumble would be really neat too. So, let's jump into some rapid hits, guys. Go ahead, Sean.
Well, I was gonna say, the good thing about having something like that is because I think a lot of people got their hopes up after the Cruiserweight Classic that they would, put in some influx of guys that are not from NXT in the Dusty Classic, and then when that didn't happen, they got really kind of disappointed. So I think having one like that where the floodgates are a little bit more open, and you could see guys that you see on the indies show up, obviously not the contracted ones that I think people really want to see, but, if for some reason War Machine never signs something, could they show up or something like that in a one-time deal? That'd be cool to see, But yeah, if that means taking it out of being the Dusty Classic and being more of a broader thing, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you, man. I think that could be a interesting thing too. I mean, there's so much to it that they could really do well by having this take place. So we'll see if they do it, though. Let's jump into some rapid hits real quick, guys. We've got a few things here that are kind of interesting. First one we'll talk about is Velvet Sky is retiring. I guess Bully Ray is doing pretty well to let her retire.
Yeah, she's going back to finish her degree, and she's also at, I think, some wrestling school near where she lives now, too. So, good for her. Education's important, and life after wrestling is important, and looks like she's on her way to making that worth something.
Hey, as somebody that's doing that pretty soon myself, I think that's great when somebody says, hey, I'm not... she could be one of those that's... And nothing's really wrong with that, but I think she realizes where she's at, and that just doing the indies is not going to be fulfilling for her, I'm sure Bully has enough money, and probably her too, from what she's made in her career, that she doesn't need to keep doing this, and she can focus on having a better life, working, having another job, doing something else that she likes to do. As much as I kind of sometimes miss Vicky Guerrero, I think that's cool that she went and got a degree and found something else to do outside of wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. And she's doing pretty well in pharmaceuticals, so good for her. Ring of Honor TV has apparently been moved from Comet TV and moved to the channel Charge. Now, the weird thing is this Charge TV channel actually has less homes it reaches.
I don't know too many people who actually watch this on TV every week, so this might suck for some of those that do. But most of the people I know have watched it either through the Fight app or through ROH's website, so I don't know how much of this really affects them, but it kind of has to feel... Every time Sinclair starts up a new channel and saying this one is the one for sports, they open up a new one and move Ring of Honor to it, so I just don't know anymore.
Don't they have one that has something to do with sports already? This is so weird. They just make these random channels that, hardly anybody can get. It's just, okay. Whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's weird. I do watch Ring of Honor on TV myself, and, I can understand where, maybe they think that there's not enough audience and they'll just move it to another channel, but come on, Sinclair. I mean, why take them down another level when you just, come on.
They probably think that for some people that might possibly in the world get this channel, it might make a big deal or something.
Yeah. TV networks are really strange at what they do, so who knows? Smash Wrestling, a Canadian indie, has actually joined up and signed a TV deal for a weekly 1-hour show on the Fight Network.
I've heard a lot of good things about Smash Wrestling. I haven't watched any of it, unfortunately, but this is kind of cool. Like, I think they're the first actual Canadian promotion to get signed to that network, so kind of a neat deal for Fight Network. The Smash also uses a lot of people from Impact Wrestling, too, so I wonder if that had something to do with them getting a deal, too.
I'm sure. I think that Scott D'Amore has a lot to do with that promotion, which, he is friends with Jeff Jarrett and everything else. So, and Sanjay and all those people, like you said, it probably has a lot to do with that there's people on both sides there talking to each other. And, part of the expansion, right? I'm sure that with GFW having all these, interconnectedness, that maybe we'll see more of this. And maybe not Japanese promotions, but they already have AAA and CMLL on that network. I mean, what do they not have on the Fight Network at this point? It's more like it. So they almost have everything.
Yeah, they really do. It seems like it. So, I mean, just something else added on, and good for Smash.
More wrestling, good for Canada.
Yeah, definitely. One last thing we're going to talk about is the New Japan. That's right. New Japan owner Kadani has actually been reported as saying that the US G1 special was really good, very successful, and the fact that they are looking into a US tour no later than March or April of 2018. Wow, that's really cool information here.
Yeah, I'm going to go to a show next year whenever they run, whenever that happens. So this is really, really cool. I'm glad it was so successful for them and they view it that way. But I mean, I think you could tell whenever those shows sold out in under an hour that this was going to be a big deal for them.
Yeah, there's rumors of New Japan possibly being the next to jump on the let's do a show around WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. So if that happens, Paul, you and I will be hopping aboard the whatever we need to get there to and going to that show. If we can get tickets without having to kill someone or something. But
I might kill someone.
Allegedly.
But this is great. This is what they wanted to do, right? I think one thing is talking about it and one other is doing it. It's great to do these shows in one city. Let's see. And for the first tour, I don't think you have to worry about it, right? If you're bringing all the big guns like you do for ROH, that'll sell. It's what do you do after you've been around a couple of times? That's what the big thing is. How quickly, what kind of guys you get in the dojo? Are there various levels of preparedness that are in the dojo, or is this total young lions going in the dojo every time? Or, what are we doing there? And, what exactly are you trying to do? I'm glad that they're sort of doing this in a very measured manner, but not trying to blow the load all at once. Like, okay, we're going to do a tour. It may, the tour could just be a 1 week thing where they do 4 shows and they don't come back for another 6 months or something, or whatever. And then they just let the dojo do its work and then use the office to have recruiters there in America and start going to various indies and handing out, contracts or offers to go to the dojo and train or whatever. I mean, it's a slow process that I think Kadani understands that you have ROH, use them. They've talked about the U.S. title is going to be probably defended on those ROH shows more than likely. So, until you gain enough of a fan base on your own, just use what you have.
Yeah, for sure. And this is going to be really interesting. And I'll say this, I'll be hopping on that train with you guys if I can get a guarantee that Naito will touch me or give me a high five or something.
Oh, boy.
So,
maybe
we'll
you'll...
see.
God, okay. Wow. Maybe maybe you'll get a fist bump from Daryl.
Yeah. Maybe. We'll see. I just need that guarantee is all I need. So anyway, we'll move on. Let's go ahead and talk about the fact that later on in the show we will be talking a little Impact Wrestling. Also, we'll be talking Superstar of the Week. Before we jump into all that, though, guys, we have a Lucha Underground episode that we are going to be getting into, and that'll be right after this, guys.
Oh, I forgot to grab the Lucha Underground thing again.
Right on. So Lucha opens this week. Dante Fox is out running in Boyle Heights, and he starts having flashbacks of his time as a POW in Afghanistan. You get to see Killshot break out of prison and leave him behind, and then you get to see him being rescued. It's a really, really well-done video package that does kind of make you feel for Dante, because he's getting tortured and all that during this flashback. It's very, very interesting. And then we're sort of jerked back into the temple, and we get to see Sexy Star take on PJ Black and another Cueto Cup match. And PJ Black ends up winning by disqualification after Taya comes out. She tries to pass PJ some brass knuckles. It goes awry. Sexy picks him up and smashes PJ right in the face with him in front of the referee. And commentary makes a big deal about the rules being strictly enforced, which is really weird because Lucha Underground doesn't really do that all that often. So this was kind of weird, if you ask me.
Yeah, and I want to start by talking about the opener of the show. I did like that. I thought that they did a really good job of kind of telling this story through this video and really kind of getting you in the realm of understanding that maybe Dante's been through so much, and this is the reason he is like he is now. Mm-hmm. And why he has come this far and all that stuff. So, and it also gives you history with him and Killshot, right? So That's all good. I think it's great character development. It probably will feed into some future storylines that we're just not there yet. So I think it's really good, and that's what they do great at, and it's really kind of showcasing their talent through these really cool video movies. I guess I'd kind of call them movies in a way, because that's what kind of do. They produce them. Mm-hmm. So good stuff from that. The match itself, PJ Black and Sexy Star. I think this was good. I mean, it gave you what you needed, and I think that for the fact that Sexy Star decided that she was going to pick up those brass knucks and use them, it just shows you where she's come. And for the fact that her ideas on the way she wins has definitely changed. She's kind of on that survival of the fittest kick right now. And it screwed her. And it screwed her pretty badly because now she's out of this tournament because of it. And PJ Black, that whole thing with Taya, whatever, I think that's got some legs too. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that turns out to be.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense in context, right? Sexy's still pissed at Worldwide Underground for costing her Lucha Underground championship. She's looking to get revenge at any turn, no matter really what the cost is anymore. And it bites her in the ass this week. That's all that happens. Just Lucha doesn't usually use the DQ finish all that often, so this was kind of jarring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really
quick, I'm sorry. I wanted to touch base with what you said. Yeah, it is jarring, and it's really interesting that they chose now to all of a sudden have the rules. But do you think that those rules have come into place because they don't want to be predictable, or they don't want to be just anything happens? Do you think that they've got this just because of this reason? They can make the storyline just a little stronger with those rules being in place.
Maybe. I mean, obviously the point they're trying to put across is that the Cueto Cup is supposed to be sacred and very wrestling based, and that's what they've been going for this whole time, right? Even though it's the first round, and a lot of the matches have sort of been Some have been squashed just to a degree. Some of them have been very short, and very few of them have been, really good. And we're about to talk about one of the really good ones here in a second. But, it's also about storyline entanglement and all this other stuff. So I think it's just more like they want this to be a big wrestling accomplishment, not so much the usual fare. So I don't know if it's about predictability, but I think it's about trying to bring something different to the table.
Okay. That's fair enough.
So after that match, we jump into some more build for Rey Mysterio and Johnny Mundo's big title match that they have coming up. This is focusing on more of their training and maybe the most placating videos that they've done so far, because Johnny Mundo really does look like an ass, and at the end of the video, they have Rey playing with children. They want you to know who the good guy and the bad guy is, very badly.
Even with the music. I mean, you listen to the music, and my God, Rey Mysterio is it's the PBS production. And then, you got Johnny Mundo over here who's on, Metal TV or MTV or something. Right. It's kind of funny. I mean, they really did a good job. And I love the fact that Rey is all about, doing what's right and all this. And then you have Mundo over here saying, hey, Rey, suck it.
Yeah.
I loved it. That was great.
Well, remember, he's got no time for pants, Gary, so that's...
True.
And then we get this great match. Son of Havoc takes on the debuting Son of Madness. This is another one where commentary, I think, does a very good job in saying that maybe Son of Madness is from the same biker gang, as they have the same jacket and the same look and all this stuff, and that he's sort of here to invoke some justice upon Son of Havoc for leaving the biker gang and all this other stuff. And I thought this was a really solid match. Son of Havoc does end up winning after with a quick roll up, and then Son of Madness attacks Havoc from behind and steals Havoc's cut, or his jacket. So nice little start to the feud here. This has the potential to be really cool. Plus, these guys have a lot of chemistry, and Son of Madness is supposed to be Johnny Goodtime for the PWG fans out there.
Yeah. I mean, this is interesting, too. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought that, what they had going on here in the way, especially through their commentary, right? And through Vampiro kind of talking about bikers and the cut and all that stuff. I thought that was kind of cool. And honestly, I was a little surprised that Son of Madness did not win this match. Mm-hmm. I kind of thought maybe he would be the guy, because introduced, maybe would be the foil to what Son of Havoc was doing. But in the end, I mean, Son of Havoc prevails, and it kind of makes you kind of root for him in a way, because you thought that this was his end of the line. So I thought it was good. I thought overall it made sense. I did appreciate some of the information that they were giving you through commentary. I mean, even though I did know a lot of that stuff, being a huge Sons of Anarchy fan, and you kind of learned a little bit of biker life and stuff like that. But still, it was much appreciated.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm sure not everybody's, had a lot of experience with that. So,
Hello? Oh boy. Oh, my internet went out. Fuck. That's wonderful.
So we move on from there to Prince Puma essentially squashing Ricky Mandel, who has become the Johnny Mundo superfan. He's their intern, and they say on commentary that if he wins this, he'll get promoted to assistant. On the flip side, you have Vampiro talking about Prince Puma, how he's dressing in black, how he seems to finally be embracing that darker side that he's been driving him to, and not so many words. And obviously, this is going places with Puma and Vampiro. We just not dead sure what the finish line is going to be yet, with not enough Pentagon Jr. screen time.
Oh yeah, that's a big bummer, because I'm a big Pentagon Dark fan, but man. But for this, I mean, it's kind of cool to see Prince Puma doing his thing, getting darker. I do think the whole Mandel thing is quite funny. And it also inspiring. It makes me, want to be the intern for Drago.
Yeah.
So, at least I know where I can hang out, so.
If you intern for Drago, does that mean you could turn into a dragon at some point in your lifetime? Because I might consider it too.
Yeah, I know, right? I had to watch that movie, The Train Your Dragon, so I can learn how to do that too. So, but anyway, yeah, this is cool. I mean, this was kind of a quick squash, and it kind of got you a little further in what's going on with Prince Puma.
For sure. And then after that, we cut to backstage. Dragon Azteca is getting ready for his match against Dante Fox here in the main event. When Rey Mysterio shows up, Rey says he would miss his comeback for the world, and Azteca says that he wants to win this tournament, so that way when Rey wins the championship, they can fight. That's when Prince Puma shows up and says that he hopes Rey beats Mundo too, so he can get his rematch at Ultima Lucha, and this time actually beat him. And that's when we cut to the match here. Dante Fox taking on El Dragon Azteca Jr. This was pretty good. Almost 9 minutes or so. Dragon Azteca gets hurt during the match, supposedly. You have some Worldwide Underground interference here to annoy Rey, which ends up distracting Dragon Azteca. And that ends up costing him because Dante Fox rolls to the outside, hits the Fox catcher on him, and puts him away after that. And that's all she wrote. Dante Fox moves on, and kind of an interesting wrinkle here because obviously Rey Mysterio and Worldwide Underground aren't pals, but now Dragon Azteca might have a beef with his mentor.
Yeah, and that's a new wrinkle that I think is very important. And I think it's interesting. So I think all this, coming out of the match, brings so much more to the table. And the match was fine, for what it was worth. And, of course, the ending was kind of what you figured in a screw finish. But, hey, I mean, I think it worked. And, I think the storylines coming out of this are going to be even better. So I think it's good and it's really quality. And of course, Fox moving on, I don't think it's a bad thing. I'll say that, And really quickly to touch on Mysterio and of course Prince Puma in that backstage segment, I thought it was pretty good too. As Rey's talking to Azteca and all that stuff, to have that interaction with Prince Puma was kind of cool. I just wish that Prince Puma would just took out a page out of Mundo's book and just said, I want to meet you for Ultima Lucha, for part 2, and I'm going to beat you. Suck it, Rey. I just would have loved it if we'd have done that. It'd been a nice little period on the sentence there.
Oh boy, well that's Lucha Underground. The first round is now over. They'll move on to the next round next week. Looking forward to it.
Well, yeah, definitely great, and I'm excited about that second round. So, all right, well, moving on from that, we are about to talk some Impact Wrestling. But before we do, I just want to really quickly touch base with Slammiversary. We promised everyone on the Tuesday show that we were going to talk about it. So I'm just going to really quickly, this isn't going to take a lot of time. But I mean, I did watch it and I wanted to let everybody know, I really wholeheartedly agree with everything that Sean talked about on that episode. And he gave you the biggest highlights. And honestly, there's really nothing new I'm going to tell you. I'm with the fact that D'Angelo Williams really showcased himself really well. And I know he's looking for an NFL team, but if that doesn't work out for sure, wrestling could be his gig. I really thought so. And I think that the Josh Matthews Borash whole fiasco was kind of funny. I kind of appreciated it. It got silly sometimes. It was kind of fun. So outside of that, I think it was a decent pay-per-view. What did you think, Paul?
It was fairly enjoyable for the most part. There was some stuff on here I obviously didn't care too much about, so stuff just was happening. But the opening tag match was really good. I agree with you on D'Angelo Williams, but it's come out that he only did it that one time as a favor, and Musa said he has no interest in continuing wrestling. So all that pipe dream of him being a wrestler might be going away with the birds. But I mean, I agree. It was a strong show. I wish the main event was better, but that might be the best you're going to get out of a Del Rio Lashley match.
Yeah. And we all kind of knew the finish that, Patron and Lashley match. So I think that kind of took me out of it a bit. Even though it was good, it was what it was. It was all fine. But you know, and I think the whole D'Angelo Williams thing, I really think that that's just him telling NFL teams, "Don't worry, I'm not going to go wrestling when you guys have me under contract. I'm done with wrestling. Sign me, and I'll go wrestle." Oh. I think Gary Barnage got released, from his deal and is looking for a new team because someone saw him on Impact and said, "Oh, yeah, you're fired."
Yeah.
So, anyway, but we just want to let you guys know what kind of thought about Slammiversary. We promised you we'd talk about it, and I think we've kind of missed the boat on talking too in depth with it, but that's fine. We just kind of give you some of our thoughts. But yeah, we're going to talk about Impact Wrestling, so let's go ahead and do that next. Let's go ahead and jump in.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
Alrighty. Hold on. I am. I just needed to double check that I was off mute for a second. I was like, oh, that would have been terrible.
Yeah.
Do the half the thing on mute. So, yes, let me get back into this got all discombobulated here for a second. So, they started off with, of course, El Patron just won the championship, unified them at the pay-per-view. Again, I think we talked about that they have ordered new titles, but they're going to have the double championships for a while. Has his father Dos Gatas and his brother El Hijo de Dos Gatas, son of Dos Gatas, are both out there. If you're wondering who those masked wrestlers are, if you do watch this at some point. He just talks about it, being the hardest 30 minutes of his life, and that, hey, if anybody out there, even if you're in the seats, if you're a fan, if you're a wrestler that's not in the company, if whatever, basically anybody can have a shot at this title. It doesn't matter. And so lastly, just comes out and says Patron's an egomaniac, and that he won with a fluke, and he talks about building a wall, which I get it that you're with Donald Trump and all, but the less politics we can have in our wrestling, I would appreciate. So basically they fight, and eventually we get the rematch made for this show. So the main event, once again, is Lashley versus Patron. And I thought this was just as equally as good as the one at the pay-per-view. Maybe a little bit better if you are one of those that really hates, when you have finishes that get involved with a bunch of people. You knew that Patron was not losing here, so that kind of lets you know that no matter what Lashley does, he's not going to actually get the title back here. And earlier in the night, or actually it was at Slammiversary, if you remember, LAX had said that they were promising a new member joining them. So LAX comes out to, El Patron is basically knocked out at this point, by the way, I should know. And basically they tease and try to lift up Patron various times to see if he'll regain consciousness. The match is over, by the way. Lashley won by DQ because LAX got involved. And he never really does. He never gets up to where he really fully understands what's going on. So you don't know if he's going to react and be pissed at the fact that LAX is there, or he's going to embrace that LAX helped him out. So you don't know if he's the person that's new to LAX or not. They're just kind of teasing you, which I thought this was actually good at making, at making you think that maybe it's not him. Maybe they're just trying to get Patron because he's Latin, obviously, and he's a champion. So why wouldn't you want the champion in your stable, right? But Patron is actually announced as the newest member, but Patron never acknowledges it himself. So, maybe this is something where Conan's saying he is, but he hasn't really talked to Patron. I don't know. What did you like the way they did this, or do you think it was corny, or what do you think?
The way that they did this ending, and the match was fine. I mean, I appreciated that Lashley did get to look like he was going to win the match. I just want to say that really quickly, because they kind of gave him a chance to be punked out and all that, with Cara slapping him at the beginning of the show, and all that entailed, all that celebration. But yeah, LAX doing what they did. I mean, it definitely brings a lot of intrigue. I mean, think of how strong LAX is if Patron's a part of them. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. And I don't agree with the commentators. I mean, the commentators said the strongest wrestling faction in wrestling. That's not true. The Bullet Club is still stronger. Sorry. But LAX,
they're going to
awesome.
pump up their own show.
Well, I know. And WWE would do the same thing, and I would hope that Lucha Underground or any other promotion would do the same, Ring of Honor. But, I mean, I'm just saying, I just thought to myself, well, LAX is great. I really enjoy seeing LAX and what they're doing, but no. But, yeah, El Patron's a great addition. And if, that is what takes place here, which I would be thrilled if he said, yes, I am the next member. I think that's a force to be reckoned with. But who knows? I mean, they could do that swerve and say, no, he didn't mean to say that. He never really agreed, So I don't think it was corny at all. I think actually it was very well done.
Yeah, I thought, again, this was a very well thought out that, hey, you're going to have to wait till next week to really know if that was him going to be in this or not. So I think, some people may think this is silly or whatever, but for a show that I think most people know is not live, is taped or whatever, and providing a cliffhanger is not always the worst thing.
Yeah, it's not. They really do need to find reasons for people to want to tune in the next week, and stuff like this is always great. And if you thought that the LAX thing was corny, I don't know why you thought it was corny, unless you just really hated the opening segment, because that was corny. The opening segment was very corny, and the dad and the father.
It's
and all
the
that
typical, the face won, be happy for him, his family's there, all that.
Yeah.
Oh, and then the other guy's mad at how he won or whatever, and he wants this rematch, and nothing too special there. I don't know about doing a rematch on the next show when you need again, you just said it, you need reasons for people to watch what is happening, and you could build up to another rematch with these guys. They're big enough stars that if you do 2 weeks of compelling TV with Lashley and Patron, you can build up to another night. Maybe have another title match on there and have 2 title matches on Impact in 2 weeks or something. Just you need to build up these shows. Don't just give away a rematch like that. Like, no big deal. You need to treat your TV like it's a big deal, because that's kind of all you have. You only have 2 pay-per-views a year right now. I mean, Anthem could decide to do, 10 more next week. That, they could take away all those one-night onlys and start having real pay-per-views again, for all we know. And that's fine if they think everybody's supposed to pay $40 for a pay-per-view again, because that's not happening. But still, my point is, for right now, all you have is 2 pay-per-views a year, and your TV is the most important thing you got. And you're just now starting to run house shows again. And, you're starting from the bottom. So trying to make everything you do important is a big deal right now. So after this, did you want to say something about that?
No, you're fine.
Okay. So after this, they have the Bruce Pritchard kind of setting aside Josh Matthews, Jeremy Borash, and the Pope in a room and asking if they're done with all the bickering and everything else, and reminding them that what he said in India still stands, that if these guys get in any kind of physical altercation with each other or continue to bicker on air, that they're both going to be fired. And then he also tells Pope that he'd get fired too if they continue to do this. And this is what makes me go, okay. So what, this is like a brother and brother having a fight, and then y'all are supposed to just make up because you're family? Like, what? I don't get how that works. Do you get how that works?
Yeah.
I get that they're under contract and you kind of have to deal with each other, but it's just like, thank you for making me not give a total crap about that entire feud other than Scott Steiner showing up.
Exactly. That's pretty much
Which,
it.
Scott Steiner wasn't so much Papa Pump. Did you notice
that? Yeah. He wasn't, was he? It was kind of a little bit of a letdown on that part, but then again, I get it. I mean, he really couldn't have done everything he wanted to do, probably. And that's fine. And maybe he's older, or maybe, working at Shoney's is kind of taking some of his wrestling ability out. I don't know.
Well, you eat all that good food at Shoney's, you're going to gain some weight. Yeah. I think it's also, it's age. Like, that's hard to keep up after a while. Like, that physique that he had for all those years, like, it's different. Like, he looked way more buff than Goldberg. You know, not saying that what Goldberg had to put himself through to look the way he did at 50 is no joke, because it's not. I'm not going to pretend that I could do that. But, what Scott Steiner had to do is still in dispute about whether or not he was taking some stuff to make him look like that. I never saw the back knee that you get with Jinder, so who knows? He continues to fight it, but we haven't seen any tests to prove one way or the other. So I guess it's still cool that you got to see him, right?
Yeah, that's just kind of one of those nostalgic moments, right? But, I'm just happy. I'm just thrilled that this announcer feud is hopefully done. And, threatening to fire him, that's all great. At least they're addressing it. But why didn't they address the fact that he was gone the entire pay-per-view? I don't understand that. So they address the announcer stuff, but they don't address that one of their administrators is not there for the pay-per-view.
Well, they're not going to say that he had family issues and that's why he wasn't there, which is the truth.
Well, at the pay-per-view, though, they made it a deal like, where's he at? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they maybe just decided to drop it or what.
I think they need to have a deal where, like, Karen's cheating with him.
Oh, my God, please no.
Just saying.
For God's... No. Don't go back down that well again. Or we will... If you do, we will go right back to not covering this show. So, don't go there. Don't go there.
Sorry, I just had to put that in people's minds.
What? Do you really want Clara Lynch back again? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. Yeah, you got a point. I don't want that now.
Because that's the only way you go from there. And after this segment, they have exhibition champion Sanjay Dutt in a match with Caleb Conley. It goes about 5 minutes or so. This is good stuff. I haven't been the biggest fan of Conley's. I think he's fine. I don't think he's anything, out of this world. There's better exhibition guys that they have. He was getting a lot in there on Sanjay though. So, and I think Sanjay's been good so far as exhibition champ. If I think was it at the pay-per-view that Trevor Lee stole the title. So they're having to deal with that, with Trevor Lee stealing the title and calling it his. And that's kind of the feud that Sanjay Dutt is in right now, is that Trevor Lee, I guess, wants the title, so he stole it to make Sanjay Dutt have to give him a match for the X Division title, which that's all well and good, I guess.
Yeah, it works, right? I mean, it's
right.
not exactly.
We just saw Jinder do this to Randy Orton.
Yeah.
So
basically, yeah, exactly.
It works.
So it gets the story going, right? That feud starts to kind of unfold here. Okay, it is what it is. Connolly, hey, he's trying. He's a decent worker. They want to push him to another level, and they're trying. And, him getting these kind of matches is going to do that for him. And, Sanjay Dutt is just going to have to kind of chase Lee around. And I think that works, and it gives us something to care about with Sanjay. I don't think otherwise people would be super behind Sanjay Dutt.
Yeah, probably not. I think you're outside of India now, so I think you're going to have the fans that remember Sanjay from the old TNA. I think he's fine as a face. Just it is what it is. I'm excited for other things that they're doing with the X Division right now, which we'll get into. But we also have another guy that's super more exciting than Sanjay. I think and Matt Sydal taking out Braxton Sutter. This is just a good match from Sydal to keep him in the periphery so people know that he's the new face of the X Division, and you get to see him do the big shooting star press, which Josh Matthews makes a joke about. Hey, he went airborne. Ha ha. But yeah, I think Sydal could really work here for Impact. It's a place where we haven't. He's been almost everywhere else, so it's kind of a thing now to see him back here.
Yeah, it's great, right? And I think he's a big talent, and for Impact to have him, is a really good deal. And they're allowing him to look great week in and week out. So you got to be happy for him. I think, with the guy that kind of is in limbo here, really, it's the fact that we have. Now I'm blanking on his name. We were just talking about. He lost the match.
Braxton Sutter.
Braxton Sutter, thank you. Braxton Sutter, I mean, he really is just, he's, there, then he's not. He's good, and he's bad. Right. And he's the one guy that I don't even know what they're really trying to do with him. I don't even know if they really know what they want.
He also kind of didn't really accept Ali sort of checking on him either.
Mm-hmm.
If you noticed that. So I don't know if he's just frustrated, or if that's going to lead to something, rift between them or whatever, which is weird because we just went through this where they fought to be together and then you're going to split them up again. Just seems unnecessary. It's like the Miz and Maurice thing. I think they thought better of it.
Yeah, and they should. I mean, honestly, and he's really not even the star. She is. And so, I mean, if anything happens,
he's just kind of bland, honestly. Like, there's nothing really about Braxton Sutter. It's like, oh my God, we need to pay attention to this guy. At least Mike Bennett had something about him, right? When you obviously knew Maria was, that I wonder if that's really how that relationship is. Maria's the one who wears the pants or whatever. Like, I could sort of believe that, it could be that way with the Mike and Maria Kanellis thing. But, like you said, Ali is the one that they really made something into, and Braxton Sutter was just kind of the vehicle that they made this storyline with them trying to get them together thing because they're really married and all this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know, are people really going to care if they do split up?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think they do. I don't even know if they really care that he's even there. I think it's more about what Ali's doing. So we'll see. I mean, maybe he could prove us wrong, but right now I think that's the way it is.
So the more interesting thing that they're doing with the X Division that I mentioned is that the Super X Cup is coming back. And so Jerry Borash comes out there, and they introduce that the participants are Davey Richards, which I'm glad that he was selling the pain from the match with Eddie Edwards. And then you have Andrew Everett, who was in a big feud with Trevor Lee for a while when Shane Helms was still there. Idris Abraham, Desmond Xavier, who we've seen on ROH before. Taji Sumori from Pro Wrestling Noah. Drago, Sammy Guevara, and ACH. I don't think this means he's signed with Impact or anything. Just he's going to be on that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really good, and some of these names you know, and some of these names maybe you're unfamiliar with, or you've followed in other companies and on the indies, and that's good. And I'm really kind of curious what ACH is going to do, if he's going to get very far in this tournament, and I'm also really kind of looking forward to seeing how some of these other guys kind of progress through this. And it's a good deal, right? I mean, it's for the X Division Cup, and for the fact that, you know, they're going to try to get someone ready to go ahead and head over and get that title. So we'll see. But I think the list of guys they have here are not bad, and I'm really kind of curious how this all shakes out.
Yeah, I agree. And then they had them have the first ever match of the Super X Cup return with Desmond Xavier and Idris Abraham. And I thought, you know, for one, I don't know why they decided to have a commercial in the middle of this if this match wasn't, you know, half of this match is the commercial, which doesn't help. But I thought this was a good match back and forth. I thought Desmond Xavier looked much better in this, and he winds up getting the one with a spiral tap, which that's awesome to see somebody using that again. Now that AJ can't, I don't know if it's that he can't do it anymore or that he just feels like he shouldn't do it. But yeah, I like this. It makes you sort of this wasn't the match that I go, oh man, now I really want to see more Super X Cup. But it's a good, like, sort of easing you in kind of thing.
Yeah, it really is. And you know, the hype packages that they had before this with both guys talking, and they kind of took a page out of what we've seen with the UK tournament and some of the stuff where they kind of have a video package that promotes the guys and the matchup. So I thought that was a smart thing. Abraham, he's okay. I think his hair is definitely a lot more big than maybe his wrestling. But, you know, he's not bad. He's okay. And Xavier, I think, you know, he's a guy that, you know, you could get behind. But other than that, I mean, I think personality-wise, he has something to work on, too. But I liked him okay, and I think it worked out the way it needed to work out.
Yeah, I think it, you know, it's sort of to kind of ease you in, tease you about it, and get you. I'm sure that they'll do more with it next week. And let's see, what else did they do on this show? They have Moose letting you know that next week he's going to defend the Grand Championship against Naomichi Murafuji. Well, I'm super excited for that. Anything Murafuji does, he is awesome. And so, you know that even though this gimmick hasn't always flown well with people, I know you haven't been the biggest fan of it, Murafuji will make it freaking legit. EC3 thinks he deserves a title shot. He doesn't, obviously he's not going to let EC3 skip the line or anything, but EC3 lets him know he's coming for it, which pretty much lets you know what's going on there.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't want to care. Moose kind of sometimes makes it hard for me to care about most things when it comes to this kind of. I don't know. This is fine. I look at EC3 as a guy that I'm a big fan of, and I know it's Paul's personal best buddy, but I look at him and say to myself, does Jeff Jarrett just hate you? Does he just really have it in for you? And that's what I think to myself a lot of times. Because I don't see EC3 really doing himself any favors. And I don't know if facing Moose really does him any favors. Sure, he can beat Moose and win that boring title that I could care less about. But I wanted better things for him, and I think he can do a lot better. But who knows?
Yeah, I think EC3 is he's one of those guys that, look, he's not the greatest wrestler. I think he's a good wrestler, but obviously he gets things going with his mouth, and that's what brings it to the table, right? I think he's obviously going to talk his way into, because Marufuji's not winning that title. Mm-hmm. So this is just to get a title defense in for Moose. It's against a guy that's extremely credible, and Marufuji. It's also a way for Marufuji not to have to get pinned either. He can lose by a decision, and then EC3 can come in and be like, all right, well, you beat him, let's go. I'm the next one in line now. And if they want to keep playing, saying somebody else is in line, I don't know who else is going to be in line for that match or whatever. But let's see, where are we going after this here? There's only a few more matches on the show. So they have women's champion Sienna taking on Rebel. Rebel actually went to Stardom and did a few matches, so glad to see Rebel's actually really trying here. Used to she just we'd be talking about her and Shelly Martinez having one of the worst matches ever. But she, it actually looks sort of competent here, which is nice to see from Rebel, because honestly, this women's division needs to get better. And with Gail Kim basically announcing that she's retiring, so you're not going to, get her back. This division has now gone into a new era pretty much, and the ones that are here, that's the ones that are going to carry it. I thought Rebel looked fine here. Sienna wins with the guillotine, and Rebel taps out. So I don't know what KM's purpose is here, but whatever.
They got to put him somewhere, right? I mean, he's getting a check.
It almost felt like she was telling him, I can't have you hold up my arm because I have 2 titles, and those are more important than whatever his purpose is, I guess.
His purpose is just to stand there and look good, right? I think this worked out the right way for the fact that Sienna is the champion, and Rebel, doing what she needed to do to have a good match. I think all of that worked out the right way. You didn't need Rebel winning the title for sure, and her beating Sienna right now at this moment is not really plausible. I don't think it's believable, at least. So I think it's good, to have Sienna come after her big matchup on Sunday to come out and immediately have to do something. It's good stuff for me.
Yeah, again, you need to establish who's the dominant person here, and then I guess eventually we'll build to whoever's going to wrestle her next and be involved in a story, or she could just have some one-off defenses or whatever they want to do with this. But yeah, I think the only thing we haven't talked about here is, and this is sort of a storyline because they do something with it afterwards. You have Eddie Edwards, who defeated Davey Richards at the pay-per-view against the Veterans of War, and Grado, who makes his return here to a bunch of fanfare. Lots of people excited about Grado. Pope still says his name wrong, which I guess that's just going to be a joke of his every time, and then JB has to correct him. Eli Drake, Chris Adonis, Falaba, and Mario Baccara all on the same team here. I thought this was good, but it's like, how can you have an 8-man tag in 5 minutes? I don't know, but this obviously was not the focal point of this show. the focal point of what they're trying to do here. This was really just here so that they could do the stuff at the end, which is Joseph Park coming out and telling Grado that apparently he didn't fill out all his paperwork and that he has visa problems. So he asks for Joseph Park to help him out, but he's going to have to leave, obviously, because, I guess if the authorities come or whatever, he'll get in trouble. So
that makes sense. This is filler, and really not a terribly awful match or anything. It was just that match was, excuse me, just kind of there. The Grado stuff, I could take it or leave it. I really wasn't enthralled in that either.
Yeah. Oh, you're not big on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, I understand where they're trying to come from. He was doing the whole American thing, and now he's having paper staying in the country and all that. I mean, it's very much a thing that happens in reality, and that's not the problem. But, I mean, how far can you really go with that? That's my problem with it.
Yeah, you can't really. I thought this was wasn't the greatest comeback from the pay-per-view that was actually really, really solid. A really good pay-per-view. This was kind of just a ho-hum show, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
You tried to, again, you didn't even really build a big main event. You just kind of had it here to build to the cliffhanger for next week, I guess. So there's a few things there.
Yeah, not super exciting. It was kind of an odd show for the fact that there was lots of things that were fallout from Slammiversary and some new things they're trying to do. It was kind of a hodgepodge, right? And I think that's what kind of made it kind of feel a little bit uneven at times. So I'm hoping the things that shake out of this eventually will be good. Let's see. But yeah, that is our Impact Wrestling for this week. Really, I'm glad we had a chance to kind of talk about the everything that went down following Slammiversary. But now we are going to do one last thing, guys, and we are going to crown a Superstar of the Week. So we'll be doing that right after this.
Superstar of the Week.
All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and start out by talking about somebody who deserved a point from us, and that man is Bobby Roode, right, Paul?
Absolutely. Bobby Roode successfully defends his championship on NXT this week in a terrific match against Bobby Roode that is absolutely worth your time. So go watch NXT this week, folks. It was great.
We got 2 points moving over there to LAX, Sean.
Yeah, LAX had the best match on the Slammiversary. Well worth your time of watching. Just a lot of chaotic fun going on between all four of those teams, and they retain both those championships. So
3 points are going to be given to Okada.
Okada does successfully defend his IWGP Heavyweight Championship against Cody Rhodes in a great main event on the Night 1 show of the G1 Specials in the USA. And Cody equally as great as Okada, but of course Okada retains, so he gets the points here.
And a man that really well deserved gets 4 points, and that is Ishii.
MVP. Yeah, Ishii had just incredible matches on both those nights, 3 of them to be exact, and he continues to just be one of the most, if not the most incredible wrestler in all the land. The man has not taken a day off since 2005. Just truly amazing.
What a monster.
He is a real man called No Days Off.
Yeah, you know.
Well, of course, we got to give our Superstar of the Week, and the guy that's going to give it with our 5 points, Kenny Omega.
Yeah, Kenny Omega, of course, wins the IWGP United States Championship in that tournament. 3 great matches, 2 of them Match of the Year candidates for sure, and just an unbelievable weekend for New Japan, an unbelievable weekend for Kenny Omega, and that match with Ishii in the finale is a 5-star classic for sure, so go watch that.
Yeah, it's a given. So there you go, guys. Omega is our superstar of the week. Now we're going to mention 2 more things that are definitely need to be let known. That is, of course, we have a match of the month for June. And that match, of course, is one that I think is kind of predictable if you watched it. Kenny Omega versus Okada at Dominion. That was the one we picked here, guys.
What more can you say about the 60-minute draw that we witnessed on Dominion that fateful night? I literally have no words, Sean. It was phenomenal and somehow topped their first outing. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's all the adjectives that you could put on something. They go on this match. I mean, you want to talk about, maybe one of the best matches ever, all the wonderful things that you want to say about a match. It deserves it. It's just, seriously, if you haven't watched it yet, I know an hour is a lot to commit to, but it is well worth your time.
Yeah, for sure. And we hope everybody does go check it out. Well, we have a superstar of the month, and that superstar is Kushida.
Kushida going back-to-back here. This time, though, he wins it for Best of the Super Juniors. He wins it for recapturing the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship at Dominion. Great matches all across the board, and not to mention that ROH TV title victory he had. Just a super productive month for Mr. Junior Ace.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just amazing. It's crazy awesome that we have this situation going down where Kushida is just oozing with greatness and, of course, deserving all these praises. And, of course, all that hard work putting into it is just coming out to be great. So there you go, Kushida. Congratulations for being the superstar of the month. But yeah, that pretty much concludes our show tonight, guys. We had a lot of great stuff to talk about. We appreciate everyone who's come and joined us. Make sure you go ahead and do us a favor. Go rate and review. And also, if you haven't done it already, go subscribe at Wrestling to the Max. Hey, and if you like everything over there at the W2Mnet.com family, make sure you go subscribe over there at the W2M Network, which will get you not only us, but all the other great wrestling podcasts we have, plus all the other ones like the soccer and football podcast, all the video game podcasts, everything under the sun you can think of will be there. Go join up with that. And also 411mania.com. We appreciate those guys. Really awesome website. Go check that out as well. But yeah, until next week, we'll have more great wrestling content coming your way. But until then, I'm Gary Vaughn. He's Paul Leeser, and he's Sean Garmer. And if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all,
you know it.
Please.
Later.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.